Hey, Nick, by the way, so if these format changes had been in place for 2016, would that have changed, or how would that have changed or affected the ultimate at the end with Jimmy Johnson winning, as you said, his seventh championship?
That's a very interesting question. People were definitely asking that yesterday. And according to NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson would have still been the champion, which I find very interesting. I wonder if when they were looking at this, they wanted to make sure that they weren't going to completely alter the championship format where people could look in past years and be like, well, this is what would have happened, because that's something they've been hearing for the last 12, 13 years, ever since they implemented the chase format. Well, with the traditional format, this guy would have been the champion, and I really don't think they wanted to keep hearing that.
Well, then why change? If it worked and you had Jimmy Johnson and as one of the big names end up winning the championship, then why change the format?
That's a very good question. I think the format they've had the last 3 years, it's worked really well. And the good part of this is that they're keeping that aspect of it. They're not changing the knockout rounds or the championship four, but leading up to that, the regular season, that's where NASCAR's kind of been hurting. That's where they've needed more drama. And I think that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make drivers race harder. They're trying to make it so that you have to go from green flag to checkered flag. And I really think this is going to do that, especially when you get closer to chase time, because there's going to be a lot of bonus points on the line in the middle of the race that guys are going to be vying for.
Is this a risk worth taking, though?
I think it is. Personally, I'm not a fan of constantly changing things with the format. And when I heard they were going to make another change, I was a bit worried about it. I was worried what was going to happen. But looking at this, I'm not too concerned about it. I don't think it's that huge of a change to simplify it, really. All they're doing is adding a couple mandatory cautions in the middle of the race, and they're going to hand out bonus points at that time. So that's really the simplified form of what on the outside looks like a really complicated change. And I don't think that's a big deal, really.
All right, Nick, you mentioned that this might alter the way that drivers approach the races. So how so?
Yeah, they're going to have to be aggressive from green flag to checkered flag. You're not going to be able to save your equipment, ride in the back, conserve your brakes at Martinsville, wait to stay out of the big one at Talladega, which is something we saw during the chase last year with the Gibbs cars, and that really upset a lot of fans. These guys are going to have to go from the beginning to the end, and I think that's going to cause, like I said, a lot more drama, and I'm sure a lot more upset people, because it's not just what you do at the end of the race, it's what you do at the beginning and the middle, which is what NASCAR has been looking for. How do we get these drivers to race hard the entire race?